Hi, my name is Jeanette. I recently graduated medical school and I am making this video to give you some tips I have for residency interviews. I was fortunate enough to match into a very competitive surgical subspecialty. When I was talking to some of my friends and classmates, I noticed that there were a few things that I did that I thought were pretty unique that might have helped me out. So I'm doing this video to give some advice to you, and hopefully my advice and tips helps you out as well. I'm going to divide my advice into three parts. Things you can do before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. So we'll begin with before the interview. I would say in regards to your schedule, choose your away rotations wisely. It's a 1 month long interview basically between you and the program. It allows the program to know you, and it allows you to know whether you're a good fit for the program. If you don't know where to do your aways at, I would say always ask your mentors for some advice, especially if they're in the department you're trying to get into, the specialty. They often know the other program coordinators, the program directors, and they have a lot of friends in that field, so they would have good advice and would be a good resource to go to. In terms of scheduling vacation, try to use your vacation months and do lighter, easier rotations during peak interview season. Interviews can range from October to January. It depends on your specialty, but if you know most of your interviews will likely happen like December and January, for example, try to make sure your workload is a little bit lighter. The easier or the more flexible your schedule can be during the peak of interview season, the more likely you can kind of optimize your time and be able to go to all the interviews you get. Once you get an invite, congrats. First step forward, I would say preparation is key. Please read about the school, understand what makes them very unique compared to all the other programs out there. This is where I actually made one of my biggest mistakes. So when I did one of my first interviews in Maine, they asked me why Maine and why would I go all the way out there, and my response was, I just want to eat lobster every single day. So of course that's not the smartest answer, but at that moment it was very honest because food is something that is important to me. But there's always like a smarter answer that you can give and a more thoughtful answer as well. If possible, ask for a list of interviewers. It's always nice to know if or who's going to be interviewing you, because then you can kind of research them, know where they're from, where they did their education and training at. For me, I really liked research, so I would actually look at their publications and kind of read through the abstracts. If I had any like thoughtful questions, I would drop them down, and during the interview I would bring it up and be like, hey, I recently read your publication on this. I thought it was really interesting. How did you ever come up with this idea? I thought it was like so amazing. So something like that. I think it always shows them that you're very interested in them as a person, and it shows that you would be a potential good collaborator to work with in the future. Along those lines, I would say know how to sell yourself, play to your strengths, whatever that may be. For me, I am a medical illustrator. I like to draw a lot, so I would always bring my iPad with me and show them my online portfolio whenever they asked about it. I thought it made me pretty memorable because I don't know of many other applicants who draw that much or to that level. Another example is I have a friend who invented something, and she would actually bring her invention wherever she went, to all the interviews she went to. So whatever your strength is, try to do like a show and tell, or like somehow display it in a clever way, because it'll definitely make you stand out. For interviewers, it's very easy for all the applicants to start looking very alike because you're all very qualified. So if you can do one thing that makes you stand out above the rest, please try to do that. Along those lines, also know your weaknesses. The only advice I have for that is whatever your weakness is, please end your answer with what you are doing to no longer make that a weakness. Know your CV pretty well, as medical students, there's often a lot of research projects we do, especially during the first 2 years of medical school. Please take the time to brush up on your CV, remember what you did in those projects, just in case the interviewers ask you what your role in it was. For me, I was fortunate enough to not be asked about my research. Not that I don't mind talking about it, but all my other friends and classmates were asked about research. So it's something to be prepared about, to talk about. I would say another thing you can do to be very prepared is to get a list of questions that the interviewers might ask you. It's nice to kind of anticipate what they might ask and to kind of brainstorm what you might say beforehand, so you're not stuck during the interview thinking for a minute before you respond. And along those lines, two of the most popular questions I got were, number one, why did you choose this specialty? For me, I think the best way to answer that is to tell a very personal story. The more unique, personal it is, the better. If, for example, you were to just say, I really like these complicated surgeries and I like taking care of these sick patients, it's very generic and anyone else can say that. So the more specific and unique you can make it to you, the better. The second most popular question I got was, tell me about yourself. And I know a lot of people don't like this question, but I love this question because it's a good opportunity for you to really take control of the conversation. For me, the way I approached it was, well, I'm Jeanette. I was born here, I went to college here, and I flew all the way here for med school. Some of my hobbies include marathon running, medical illustration, fossil hunting, and some other hobbies. So when you do that, you kind of give them a table of contents or like a list to choose from for like what they want to talk about. I can't tell you how many times people talk to me about running. There's a lot of surgeons who are runners, I guess, but some of them would be like, hey, we see that you're a runner. There's like a relay race that's coming up. If you come here, would you be interested in doing it with us? And of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to run with like my attendings, my co-residents, in a new place to kind of explore the city. So you can have a lot of fun conversations if you control like what you want to talk about. Another advice I have is to be nice to the coordinator. It's the person who is going to email you the invitation for the interview. They are kind of like the eyes and the ears of the program director, so anything bad you do or if you're rude to them, they can report to the program director, which does not work in your favor. But if you treat them with respect, as you should treat everyone with, if you're nice to them, they can really help you out, especially if you start to have scheduling conflicts. If you need to switch interview dates or anything, they can be very, very helpful. So please be nice to them and everyone. I would say also another big thing you can do to prepare is to set up an Excel sheet, like a list of all the places you got interviews at and different things that you use to kind of judge a program by. For me, I included the dates of my interviews, like the logistics, flights, hotels, whether there was a pre-interview dinner. I strongly encourage you to go to that because that allows you to know the people you're going to be working with really well. Other things I include how I got along with the residents, how I got along with the faculty, weather, city life, housing, food, and in terms of training, I would kind of make note of how much autonomy residents got during surgeries, whether there was any required research, call schedule, and stipend. So you can adjust those categories to your liking, add more, take some away. But the purpose is just to make sure you evaluate the programs on different levels. Don't get discouraged if you don't have many interviews. I want to say that almost half of the interviews I got, I think, was because I was on wait list and someone dropped their spot, so I was able to take their spot. So please try to be flexible in your schedule. Sometimes I'll get these last minute interviews a week or maybe like a few days before the interview, and I would try my best to go to them. And an interview is an interview. It doesn't matter like whether you were their first choice or you were on the wait list. As long as you get it, you're still in the running. And the last but most important advice I have for things you can do before the interview is to just get to the location early and have fun. Go out, explore, eat something new, go to museums, do like something touristy. Just really have a good time and take pictures. And I'll explain why. The next one is things you can do during the interview. So after you're able to, have fun, explore the city, it comes in handy because another popular question I got from interviewers were like, oh, so, like, how's the city treating you so far? Do you like it? And since you just had so much fun the night before, it's so easy to talk about, like, something you did that you really liked. Like, oh, I just tried the beignets from Cafe Du Monde and they were so great. Or, like, I went to this museum exhibit and I really liked this exhibition by one of my favorite artists. So it's a really nice way, an easy way to start a conversation with your interviewer. And more importantly, it shows that you're willing to take the time to get to know the city, to see whether you fit in. I can't tell you how many times I met applicants who were on the same flight as me, and they would just go to their hotel right away and just like lock themselves up and sleep. I feel like if you're spending so much money just to travel to a new place, you might as well, really enjoy it, take the time to go out and explore, and, be able to talk about it with your interviewers. Another advice I have is be yourself. I know this is a hard one to do. I was a medical school interviewer in the past, and I would say by the time you get the interview, everyone is very qualified. The whole point of the interview is just to get to know you as a person, as like a human being. So be very genuine, be sincere, be respectful. So those go a long way, and be yourself. Like I said before, I would say be nice to everyone. You're going to be interacting mostly with the attendings and the residents, but you should also be extremely nice to the secretaries, the coordinators, the janitors, and whoever else you meet. It can go a long way. For example, during one of the interviews, I noticed it was like between talking to our interviewers, the applicants were just chatting with the residents at the conference table, and there's this one secretary who was just sitting off to the corner of the room. I noticed that, and I just decided to, oh, why not just like sit next to her and make some small talk. I asked her, like, how long have you been here? Do you really enjoy working with people here? They seem so friendly. And we started talking about like her daughter and like other really nice things. By the end of the conversation, she actually asked me for my name again, and I could tell that she was trying very hard to remember it because she was probably going to make a note by my application, but like in a good way. So even like the smallest things you can do to like treat people well goes a long way. I would say as you are interviewing with all the faculty, sometimes you can interview with like 3 to up to like, I don't know, a dozen different faculty members. And it's very easy for you to start forgetting what you said to each person. So for me, after my conversation with each interviewer, I would always drop down a little bit of notes and the highlights of our conversation. And then by the time it was for me to write the thank you letters, I would go back to these notes and be like, oh yeah, I talked to this guy about, I don't know, like running or doing the relays with him. So I'll be like, it was really nice to know you. I would love to come here and especially join that relay race you were talking about. So it makes your thank you letters more personal in the end, and I think it's very worth it. Bring copies of your CV. It's always nice if you did something recent and you have an updated CV compared to the one you submitted on Eris. It also helps if you get blind interviewers. who don't read your application at all. It shows that you're very prepared and that they can just like flip through your CV and see what you've done so far. In terms of illegal questions, unfortunately, me and my friends and classmates did get asked a few. Some of them can include like where did you apply for, how many programs did you get interviews at. My best advice is to just answer very broadly. So for example, I would be like, location is not a big factor for me. I'm open to moving anywhere. I love to travel. I love experiencing new things. And for the question, how many interviews I got, I would just be like, I got a very good amount. I'm very grateful for all the interviews I have, and I think I have a lot of good options to choose from. So just answer broadly, and don't be surprised if they do ask you these questions. And last but not least, I would say make your pros and cons list of the program immediately after your interview. It's very easy to forget things, and while it's fresh in your head after an interview, just write everything you down that you enjoyed or didn't like about the program. It'll come in very handy when it's time for you to rank your programs. And moving on, things you can do after the interview. So I would say do the thank you letter or thank you email right away. For me, I literally did them at the airport while I was waiting for my flight back home or back to my next destination. I think the fresher the memory is in your head, like the easier it is for you to write about. It's nice to have a template to use, so you don't always have to come up with something new all the time. Just make sure to change the name and change like the specifics of the conversation and highlights you had with them, and like why you really like that program compared to all the other programs. And then remember how I said that you should have fun and take pictures. So for me, this is just part of my personality, but I would actually include a picture of myself having fun, like at the lighthouse, or like eating a beignet, or doing like seeing an exhibit, and attach that with my thank you email. I think it really helps the interviewers remember who you are, because people are very visual people, and it shows them you had a really good time, not only like interviewing with them, but like exploring around the city. And along those lines, in addition to thanking the interviewers and the residents, I would also say thank you to the coordinators, because they put in a lot of work in trying to organize everybody to come, and they're a very important part of the team. So a little thank you can go a long way. So make sure you thank them as well. Before ranking occurs, I would say follow up with another email to the programs that you really liked. Express your interest in them again, saying that after interviewing at all these programs, you guys still stand out. I would love to come to your program. It would be such an honor working with you. It helps you to reinforce your interest in their program, and I think it goes a long way. Also, if you can, I would ask your mentors to call the program director of your top program, of your #1 program. For me, I was very fortunate to have a very, very good mentor who actually called twice for me to express my interest in their program, and I think that really helped me out in the end. And last but not least, after the match, keep in contact with all the people you've met, whether it be attendings and residents. There's this one program director I still keep in contact, and he actually emailed me first. I didn't match into his program, but I really enjoyed visiting their program and learning more about them and meeting them. And he was like, congratulations on getting into this program. That program is a really good fit for you. Please let me know if you ever need any help with anything. I'm still here for you, even though you're not in my program. So I thought it was just so sweet of him. And you are going to make a lot of friends along the way during the interviews, especially with something so specific as like a surgical subspecialty. you'll see these people along the interview trail over and over again. So it's pretty fun seeing the same people and having fun with them, eating out. So keep in contact with all these people. They are going to be the colleagues you work with in the future. And last but not least, I would say remember to thank your family, your friends, your classmates, your neighbors, everyone who helped you along the way. Med school is not easy. The journey to going to residency is not easy as well. And just be very grateful and thankful for everyone who has helped you. I certainly would not have been able to do it without all the help and support I've received. So just something to remind you guys about. That concludes the end of this video. I hope it was helpful. I understand it's a bit long, but I hope it's worthwhile. And good luck with residency interviews. Thanks.